in the shadow of grooving military relations between Ukraine and Israel and conflicts with Russia. The Israeli-Iranian shadow war in Syria is intensifying the ongoing military conflict in Syria between Israel and Iran-backed militant forces such as Hezbollah shows no signs of, despite a possible return to the Russia-Ukraine crisis and otherwise known Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. In fact, these major international developments may have provided some opportunities for both Israel and Iran to step up their attacks. In recent weeks, Israel is increasing the intensity of its attacks, seeking to undermine the presence of Iranian-backed militants in. The last of these attacks took place in the 𝗕𝘁𝗂 suburb of Damascus last day. An Israeli airstrike has reportedly killed 15 people in 𝗕𝘁𝗂, a high-security area of the Syrian capital Damascus, some of which is home to top security officials, security units, Iranian intelligence headquarters, and Iranian facilities. Many buildings were damaged in the densely populated area, with multi-story security buildings and residential areas close to the 𝗕𝘁𝗂 in the city of the capital. The Israel Defense Forces did not comment on the 𝗕𝘁𝗂 attack, in line with its policy of generally not commenting on airstrikes in the. Israeli officials have previously stated that the IDF does not target civilians and tries to avoid damaging residential areas as much as possible. The Syrian Air Force Command claimed that it managed to intercept most of the missiles launched over the 𝗂𝘀𝗏 by IAF F-16 jets in the attack. While military analysts are skeptical of such claims, Syria claims it regularly. Intercepts Israeli miss. Footage from northern Israel showed a Syrian air defense missile detonating over the Golden Heights. The missile attack was later denounced by Russia, a case supporter of the Syrian regime in a small than a decade-long civil war, describing the attack as a flagrant violation of international law. The need for coordination with Russia, which controls Syrian airspace to carry on attacks, is cited as the main reason for Israel's reluctance to supply weapons to Kiev from Jerusalem. During the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Mario Zak, spokesperson for the Russian Foreign Ministry, said that we strongly urged the Israeli side to stop armed provocation against the Syrian Arab Republic and refrain from steps that have dangerous consequences for the entire region. On the other hand, an Israeli military official said last week that the IDF will not hesitate to attack if Iran sends weapons to its proxies in the region under the guise of humanitarian aid to Syria after the major earthquake in the. Several cargo planes carrying aid to Iran have landed in Syria since a major earthquake hit the country and areas in Turkey on February. In recent years, several airstrikes on Iranian arms shipments allegedly disguised as harmless products have been attributed to Israel, including one incident last month. It is generally believed that relatively large weapons were smuggled via Syria by Iranian cargo airlines that frequently land at Damascus International and TIAS, or T4, a base outside the city of Palmyra in central Syria. The weapons are believed to have been stored in warehouses in the area before being transported to. Separately, Israeli jets targeted Iranian and Syrian regime military sites near Damascus International Airport, as well as Zaina and Al-Kiswa, a town and city just south of the capital. Tensions between Israel and Iran are escalating. The attack of an Israeli tank in the Arabian Sea by an Iranian drone raises the tension between the parties. The tanker Campus Square, owned by the Zodiac Maritime Company, owned by Israeli shipping magnate Fair, was targeted by a drone in the Arabian Sea. Last week, the ship, which was not carrying cargo in the Palace Pass, was struck by an aerial object while in the Arabian Sea, about 300 nautical miles off the coasts of India and Ormond. It's possible that the attack was carried on with the Sh-136 drone used by Russia in its invasion of Ukraine. The ship and crib were reported to be safe and proceeding according to the planned passage. However, there is minor damage to the ship. There is currently no statement from Tehran regarding the attack on an Israel oil. However, this is not the first attack on Israel ships of the coast of Iran. At the same time, in the overwhelming majority of cases, drones are used for attacks that cannot be detected by the air defense systems or other countries. At the same time, this attack could signal an intensification of Iranian threats to shipping in the. Both sides believe they have major interests in Syria that they are willing to pursue for Israel. These interests include the weakening of Iran and Hezbollah's role in Syria and by extension in Lebanon, particularly in relation to the arms movement between countries and Iran's building of missile-producing factories in Syria. Iran, on the other hand, wants the opposite because of its entrenched position in the region. Syria, which has become stronger with this involvement in the civil war in the country, gives it a significant influence and power in the eastern Mediterranean. Israel has carried out hundreds, if not thousands, of OR strikes in Syria since 2013, after Iran and Hezbollah came to the full aid of Syrian regime in the early years of the civil These Israeli raids mainly targeted Hezbollah's weapons depots as well as weapons traveling from Iran to Lebanon via Syria. Clashes also took place between Israeli and Iranian-backed forces near the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. But in recent years, Iran's weapons and missile factories have also been among Israeli targets. Israeli targets in Syria include Iranian weapons and missile factories, often built in underground cities where Israelis leave the manufactured precision-guided missiles. Although Israel has used so-called bunker detonators to enter underground facilities, some weapons depots and factories have been dug deep into the mountains. It is reportedly resistant to Israel raids, but repeated attacks have disrupted the tunnels to these underground facilities. It is important to note that dozens of Iranian scientists and engineers have been sent Syria to work not only in missile development, but also in weapons industries suspected of chemical weapons. For nearly a decade, Israel has been conducting airstrikes against suspected Iranian-backed arms transfers and personal deployments in neighboring. Israel has also intensified its attacks on Syrian airports and air bases in recent months to prevent Iran from using its increased airlift lines to deliver weapons to its allies in Syria and Lebanon, including Lebanon's Iran-backed Hezbollah. Israeli military experts claimed attacks are part of an escalation of a low-intensity conflict aimed at slinging Iran's grooving trench in Iran's proxim, militias led by Lebanon. Hezbollah are currently dominating Syria, eastern, southern, and northwestern, and various suburbs of capital. In a nutshell, Israel is seeking ways to disrupt the re-established air link between Iran and Syria, which was used to deliver Iran's weapons systems to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel has worked for years against Iranian efforts to send weapons to Hezbollah including using real-time intelligence to attack shipments. Following the escalation of Israeli attacks on ground shipments, Iran began turning to the air to fly its supplies. This is a tactic that has been used in the past, but has been discredited. However, Iran's increasing relations with Russia seem to have encouraged Iran to start flights. Russia has controlled airspace in Syria for years and wanted Damascus International to be kept safe for its own purposes. As a result, the use of Iranian aircraft to transport supplies to Syria has been discouraged. But now that Moscow is more focused on Ukraine, it has withdrawn its forces from Syria, and their need for the airport is less effective as a. Combined with the greater ties between Tehran and Moscow, Iran seems to feel more free to use the Moscow's international and accepts the risk of Israel doing anything that will harm the airport's usability. Thank you for watching us.